Well, hello, writers. Today is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. And as you can see, I am here with my beloved companion, Miss Foxy. In this week's edition of my newsletter, I explore the role poetry can play in your writing. So, April is always National Poetry Month. And those of us who write fiction or nonfiction might think, that's for somebody else. However, last weekend I was at a meeting of the Charlottesville Women's Writers Collective, and one of the novelists who's between projects was talking about how they were using poetry to cleanse their palate. So they wanted to keep writing, but they weren't ready for another project, so they decided to write poetry. And this is something that I have adopted for this month, which is slowing my brain down and making me more receptive to what's around me, and I am paying attention more. So this is a powerful, powerful tool in our writing arsenal, and it's a lot of fun, and it's so low stakes. So how do you do this? In this week's edition of my newsletter, I share an exercise that you can do that I learned at the AWP conference. So I share all of the steps. You can read about it in the newsletter if you subscribe to my newsletter, or if you're like new to this, you can click on the link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. But this gives you an opportunity to explore poetry in a way that is very accessible and also fun. It gives you a different way to think about things. So I hope that you try this exercise, and I hope you share what you learned from it and what it was like for you. Also, this week, my guest on the Writing and Resilience podcast is my mentor, Professor Emeritus at James Madison University, Lenny Echterling. I met Lenny in 2009 when I was getting my EDS in clinical mental health counseling. He was actually one of the reasons why I chose to study at JMU. He has done a lot of work around the world on crisis. And he is an expert not just on dealing with crises for other people, where he's gone off to work with landmine survivors. And he has been at some of the biggest tragedies we've had in our country. Like, he was at 9/11 helping the firefighters. He was at Hurricane Katrina and Rita, helping the people who had been affected by this cataclysmic storm. So he's gone off and done that work, but he also does this work in his own life as a cancer survivor. So he shares a lot about that story. And one of the things we talk about, which I am very excited about, is we talk about how doing this work, really understanding your story, making meaning for it, holding space for the pain, and being curious about the thriving, is doing brain surgery without the scalpel. That is the work that we are doing, my friends. This is why I work as a trauma-informed writing coach. It is why I focus on resilience, and it is why I love writing. It has this very powerful work that it does inside us. And if you want to know about it, listen to this week's podcast episode. Or you can also check out the transcript. So transcripts are on Apple Podcasts, and I am working to get those on all of the episodes. So if you're a person who is like, excuse me, I don't like to listen to podcasts, but I really am interested in this information, you can read along. So those are all of the options that you have. And because it's National Poetry Month, I hope that you will share your favorite poem with me. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can add your favorite poem in the comments, or you can send me an email and share that with me, and I will share that in next week's newsletter. All right. I wish you all the best. Thank you, as always, for showing up to your writing life and for taking the time to be a part of this community. I deeply, deeply value you. And may the value that we all create in the world help us all write on.